All right, so it's been about a week now, give or take. Dark Below has come out.
Yep.
I'll get your impressions. I know you haven't done the raid yet, but like you're about to.
Yes.
You know, leading up to now, having dealt with Xur, dealt with the vendors of the new gear and whatnot, and the story missions, of course, a big deal, right? Story this time. You know, what are your general impressions of, you know, what you've kind of gone through, good and bad, I guess?
So I think the Dark Below basically confirmed what my fears for this game and Bungie would be from the beginning, and that was that they wouldn't really know where to focus their efforts. And what I mean by that is, like, you have obviously casual players and you have hardcore players, and the problem with trying to appeal to both is that you're going to end up pissing both of them off. I feel like with the Dark Below, hardcore players took a massive hit with, you know, the exotics resetting, like the Iron Banner armor being basically made worthless the second the Dark Below came out.
Not only was that Iron Banner gear useless, if you had raided, it's kind of the same thing, right? Like, you're dealing with gear that would get you to light level 30, obviously, and I know with every kind of expansion in like an MMO, even though this is not an MMO, you're always gonna be changing gear, right? I just found it weird that, I guess maybe because the time, it's only been 3 months, but the fact that somebody can come in and just get gear that's better than the gear I just raided for, like almost like day one, it's kind of disappointing to me a little bit. It's kind of sad that, I guess, like you said, for hardcore players, because I play a lot, that a lot of the time I spent investing into the game, I didn't really see that much benefit going forward. Like generally in like a game like WoW, like the set items and whatnot, they are lower level, but the set item is so strong or whatever that you can still use it all the way up until you're done leveling or whatever. It's not the case in this game. And also by having new materials of like Radiant Energy and Radiant Shards, it kind of made, I wouldn't say Ascendant Shards and Ascendant Energies are useless, it's just me stockpiling over 100 is kind of whatever now, you know?
One of my biggest problems with what they've done, if you're giving hardcore players the shaft, casual players can come in, they can hit 20 and almost instantly hit 31, or they can get there really quickly because the vendors sell all that gear now, and they've made it super simple. In the process, they made Vault of Glass completely worthless. And for me, I thought the point of Destiny was the raid, or are the raids. You know, you're getting all this gear, you're getting all these weapons, you're grinding rep, you're doing all this stuff for the purpose of being able to participate in the raid. And not only have they made one major aspect of the game completely useless, I mean, Vault of Glass is still a huge chunk of that game.
Yep.
And for hardcore players now, it's almost a complete waste of time. I mean, you can still get shards and stuff that you need to upgrade weapons and all that stuff, but you know, the hard mode stuff, the hard mode weapons are, you know, like Fatebringer is which I use a lot.
That and maybe Mythoclast. You know, there's like those few kind of things, like if you don't have it yet, I guess it would be good to have it, but it's not a game changer outside of like Nightfall, at least currently.
But so like you would expect that Bungie would want its casual audience to play Vault of Glass, because it's like, here, look at the best stuff that we have. You know, their friends who play Destiny maybe a little bit more than they do, and tell them don't bother. So it's like in the process of trying to make it so casual players can quickly get to 31, they basically just, you know, cut off a huge piece of content. And in a game where content is already a little bit light, like that seems like a huge mistake to me. You know, I don't necessarily have a problem with the exotic resets either. If anything, it kind of makes me realize that I don't use most of them anyway, but that's also bad too, because then that shows that so much of their exotic weaponry, the fact that it's maybe not all that useful, maybe they should make them useful. And they have to communicate right now that for the future expansion, that this stuff won't happen again. Like, if there's not gonna be another reset, there's not gonna be, you know, just your armor that you get in the hard mode raid, or in just the raid in general for Crota's End, it's not going to be made useless the second House of Wolves comes out.
Yeah, I mean, definitely communication has been kind of a big thing, and the lack thereof. I think they know that now. The community has been very vocal about it, just not knowing exactly what we had to do for resets and stuff like that, not even knowing, even myself, that it was going to cost, you know, upwards of 7,000 Glimmer per exotic upgrade. And I did 3 of those, and that's, you know, that's the bank. And that's stuff they need to tell people ahead of time. So if you are more casual and you don't spend that much time playing the game, you're not farming Glimmer all the time. You don't have enough money to upgrade for Xur, right? And Xur comes once a week. And you may miss out on that upgrade because you weren't prepared. But I mean, like, granted, we're talking kind of negatively. I think there's still like some good things.
Yes.
The story missions, they're definitely a lot better. They're more cohesive. The story is better. It's not great, but it's better. The new strike is hard.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
surprisingly hard.
I mean, what I like about this strike, especially when it was on the Nightfall for the first week, is that it still seemed doable. Like, I felt like as long as I have a team of people, we won't need to cheese it. You know, even if somebody did find a cheesing spot, I felt like it's not necessary. You can, you know, take this thing down. It's going to take a little while, but I don't feel like it's an impossible task. And I agree. I like what they've done with the new story stuff. And I agree that the Era stuff is a nice addition. It doesn't go far enough. One of the reasons why I keep playing, and one of the things that the Dark Below does really well, is that the universe that they've established is great. And I think they've done a very good job of establishing a foundation. The problem is they're not building off of it in a way that's very satisfying. And I would like to see them take the time to start explaining more stuff.
I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll speak about the raid. I think they're doing a great job with just raid, like the general raid environment. It looks amazing. It plays very fun until people find cheeses, I guess, that will not reach hard mode now. I think maybe a good thing they held off on that. But aside from the cheese, like the first time going in there, again, just a lot of those wow, almost like holy shit moments of this is really cool, like the environment's really cool. We spent an hour on the second part the first night not knowing like what are we supposed to do. Like there's this bridge that's kind of forming, there's these swords, like what are we supposed to do? That's the fun element of it. The only problem I guess I have is sadly once I finish this and then I get it on farm, I'm probably gonna play like once or twice a week again, and that's about it. And like you said, that's kind of the lack of content in the game.
Destiny is a fantastic looking game. Like the art direction, it's just so well done. If nothing else, because I see how well they execute on things like that, it makes me want to see more. You know, like I feel like they're on the right track, but they're just repeating mistakes that some MMOs have made in the past. Like I don't understand things like, you know, the next Iron Banner is already coming up. It's like, why not wait a little bit and let people experience the raid to get, you know what I mean?
It's something you almost want to save like right before hard mode. When your content's kind of slowly drying up, you want to get that little kickstart, that little revitalization of like player base. I mean, just building upon that, you know, if power is everything as Iron Banner is supposed to be, and you know your armor difference and whatnot is supposed to make that difference in comparison to your opponents, the fact that you've only had a week of time to play Dark Below, you're not going to be, like everyone's kind of going to be the same, in my opinion. I don't think there's going to be too much disparity, and Iron Banner was supposed to make it feel like there was disparity, right? Like you could tell when you're fighting a 26, when you're 30, like yeah, you're not going to hurt me as much as I'm going to hurt you, and even if I have bad aim, you're probably going to lose. But right now I feel like there's going to be a lot of 31s.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Dark Below, like the rest of Destiny, pretty much is like there's a lot of really interesting things that they're doing. There's a lot of cool places they could go, but I feel like there's not enough of it, and that they're still trying to strike a weird balance between casual players and hardcore players. And I know that's a necessary sort of evil, but you have, at the very least, and they've acknowledged this, you have to respect people's time. So when you do stuff like the weapon resets so quickly after people just built them up, that's not a good way to sort of acknowledge that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be that struggle for Bungie to figure out kind of the sweet spot for them to, you know, here's the kind of line for the casuals to help them out, but then there's enough for the hardcore to want to do it too. And I don't know what that line is. Like WoW figured it out. It took them a while though, you know, and the only time will tell if Destiny figures it out before Destiny 2.